Hello everyone, I am Simran Kaur, your science teacher from Shiv Jyoti Educational Group, and today we will start chapter 13, Motion and Time. We have divided this chapter into two parts. In first part, we will cover the topics motion, slow or fast motion, speed and measurement of time. And in the next video, we will cover measuring speed, average speed, uniform and non-uniform motion, and distance time graph. Let's begin with the introduction. You have heard of the words that rest and motion. What are the meaning? What is the actual meaning of rest and motion? First, look at these images. This is a tree. Let's imagine you are standing beside this tree. So, can you tell me the state of this tree, whether it is at rest or in motion? You will say that ma'am, tree is at rest. Then look at the next image of train. The state of train is at rest or in motion? You will say ma'am, this train is moving, so the state of train is in motion. Now, suppose a situation in which you are sitting inside this train. So, this tree will appear to be moving, but in actual it is not moving. So, always remember the state of rest and motion are relative terms. Look at the third image, in which suppose we are an astronaut and we are looking at our earth from the space. So, all the things and all the objects present on earth's surface, they all are in motion relative to us. So, state of rest and motion are relative terms. The objects which change their positions with respect to the objects at rest are called in the state of motion. In this case, when we were standing beside the tree, this tree was not changing its position. That's why we were calling it an in state of rest. Whereas in this case, train was actually changing its position from one place to another. That's why we called it in state of motion. Next is slow or fast motion. Whenever we talk about slow or fast motion, we actually refer to its speed. You know what is speed? We oftenly use this term speed. So, if an object covers a larger distance in a fixed interval of time than some other object, it is called faster and the other object is called slower. Understand it with this example. Race is going on in between racers, and who is covering the larger distance? Suppose they are given only 1 minute. So, you can see this man is covering larger distance as compared to the last man. So, who is having slow motion? This man. And who is having fast motion? This, the man who is at first position. So, slow or fast motion, we talk about speed. Okay, now speed, you say that that boy was riding a bike with 120 km/h speed. So, what do you actually mean by that 120 km/h speed? First of all, that 120 km/h is speed. What do we actually mean by that? That 120 km, that boy is riding the bike with speed, means he is covering 120 km in how much time? In 1 hour. So, to know how fast the object is moving, we must know the distance travelled by the object and time taken by the object to cover that much distance. Formula for speed is distance upon time, or how can we define it? Speed of an object refers to the distance that object moves in unit time. When we call that he was driving a car with 60 km/h speed, we mean that he is covering 60 km in 1 hour. So, remember this formula of speed, it is distance upon time, distance covered per unit time. Now, the term comes time. Again, we use it frequently, that what time is it? So, time is the ongoing sequence of events taking place and it never stops, it keeps on going. The interval between two events is known as time. Like here, the interval of 1 hour. 1 hour, the time 1 hour has passed on. Now how do we measure time? Nowadays we use watch or clock to measure time, but in earlier time the people were not having these watches and clocks, so what they used to how do they used to measure time? They used to use the natural phenomena to measure time. So but in olden days people find out time by watching the natural events or phenomena. So let's talk about what natural events they used to consider. The time between one sunrise and one sunset is known as day. We know that how many hours are present in a day? 24 hours. They in earlier days they didn't have watches, so they used this event of sunrise and sunset. The month was measured according to the duration between a new moon and the next moon, new moon. New moon is, it's not that a completely different new moon you will see. No, new moon means the moon is not visible to us. Here you can see this black part means this moon is not visible to us. So the month has 30 days. So this chain of moon means from new moon to next new moon was considered as a month. Nowadays we have calendars. Now a year was taken as the time taken by the earth to complete one revolution of the sun. You know that earth takes 365 days to complete one revolution. So they used to check the seasons like the autumn, winter, spring, summer. When the earth we have faced all 4 seasons, then they used to consider that a year has passed on. Now in these slides we talked about the long duration of time like day, month and then year, but for shorter duration of time ancient people made few devices to measure a short duration of time. First is sundial. It looks like this. In the presence of sun, you know that sun casts shadow on the objects. So it is based on the fact that the length of the shadow cast by an object changes with the time of the day. As the day passed on, the length of shadow, it keeps on changing. The next is sand clock, or we call it hourglass, and it looks like this. It has 2 parts, the upper part and the lower part. In upper part, we fill it with sand, and there is a very small opening, a narrow passage through which this sand empties in the bottom container. So it is based on the principle that a certain fixed quantity of sand pass through a narrow passage in a certain fixed interval. Let's say that this sand, it gets emptied in this bottom part in 1 hour. So we can say that 1 hour has passed on when this sand completely transferred to this bottom part. Next is water clock. Water clock uses the flow of water to measure time. Like in case of sand clock, we were using sand. Here we are using the flow of water to measure time. But nowadays we use clocks and watches. So the functioning of clocks and watches is complex. It uses periodic motion. You have seen pendulum. It looks like this. So what is periodic motion? This, the to and fro motion, means the forward and backward motion is known as periodic motion. So the device which produces periodic motion is called simple pendulum. It looks like this. This is the figure of simple pendulum. We have provided a rigid support to the pendulum to which a long thread is attached, and this thread is non-extensible, means we cannot stretch it. And to this long thread we have attached a metallic ball, and this metallic ball is known as bob. So this is figure of simple pendulum at its mean position, means this simple pendulum is at rest, it is not moving. But in this case, we have shown the motion of a simple pendulum. Let's take, this is the mean position of simple pendulum. When we will take it away, let's say to the position D, which is known as its extreme position, and release the metallic ball, or you call it bob, from this position. So it will start swinging like, it will start swinging like this. This motion is known as periodic motion. So the to and fro motion of the swinging of the pendulum is known as oscillatory or periodic motion. This backward and forward motion is known as oscillatory or periodic motion. Now next is time period. First consider this, the motion of simple pendulum. Initially this simple pendulum is at its mean position. We have just take this bob and stretch it to the point B, okay, take it to the point B and just release it. So what will be the motion of this pendulum? It will, from point B, it will go to point C and then again it will come back to point B. So this, the total distance travelled by this metallic ball is one oscillation. Got it? What is one oscillation? When metallic ball moves from point B to C and then again come back to point B, this distance is known as one oscillation. And the time taken by a pendulum for one oscillation is known as its time period. The time taken by this bob to complete one oscillation is known as time period. Let's understand with the help of an example. A simple pendulum takes 18 seconds to complete 10 oscillations. What is the time period of the pendulum? In this question, time is given 18 seconds, which is the time taken to complete 10 oscillations. So we need to find out time period. Formula for time period is time taken in total oscillations divided by number of oscillations. So total time given is 18 seconds. So in numerator 18 will come. Number of oscillations given are 10 oscillations. So in denominator 10 will come. You are a student of maths also, so you can divide it. So answer will be 1.8 seconds. 1.8 second is what? Time taken by simple pendulum to complete single oscillation, to complete one oscillation. Understood? Characteristics of oscillation of a simple pendulum. First, the time period depends on the length of the string used. Means you have seen the diagram of simple pendulum, that metallic ball is attached to a string. So the longer will be the string, the more will be the time period. It will take more time to complete one oscillation, and the smaller will be the length of thread, then smaller will be the time, or shorter will be the time duration to complete a single oscillation. The time period of a simple pendulum does not depend on the mass of the bob, that the weight of that metallic ball is independent of time period. Then third is, next is the time period of a pendulum does not depend on the extent to which the bob of the pendulum is displaced. Here you can see we have taken 3 simple pendulum and we have extended to the different position. Okay, no one simple pendulum is displacing to a single position, but you can see the time period, the time at which they are coming to their mean position is same. Here you can see they all 3 bobs are overlapping at their mean position. That proves what? That time period is independent to the extent to which bob is displaced. They all are coming to their mean position at the same time only. Next is timer. You have heard this again, timer, that we have timer in our mobile phones also. So what actually is timer? A timer is a specialized type of clock used for measuring specific time intervals. It can be mechanical, electrical or digital. Uses of timer. Egg timers are used in cooking purposes when we set timer for a specific food. In traffic signals also you see timer, in automobiles also, in washing machines and in explosives. Here it is the timer. When it comes to 0, what happens? It just explodes. Next is units of time. The SI unit of time is second. SI means standard unit of time is second. And the bigger units of time are, we say, minute, hours, days, months, years, etc., centuries. These all are bigger units of time. But let's imagine, you can imagine that how small the shorter duration is, a single second. So you can divide, when you will divide that second into millions of parts, in millions part, and that single part is known as microsecond. So these microsecond and nanoseconds are the units to express small units of time. How much small? When you will divide second into millions and billions parts. So that was all in the first part of this video. I will meet you in the second part. Thank you.